Okay, children. So today, we are going to continue with our detective, mystery, crime stories. Okay. So our genre of writing that we've been looking at yesterday. So yesterday, you looked at the vocabulary around detective and crime stories, and you learnt a bit about some famous detectives and some detective writing. And today we're actually going to start our crime. You're going to hear about what the crime was, or you're going to decide what the crime was, but who it happened to. And then today you're actually going to be writing a description of the crime scene at Tatton Hall. So the crime took place at Tatton Hall, and you're going to be writing a description of the crime scene at Tatton Hall. So here's our poor victim, Lord Edgerton. So Lord Edgerton is a man who is very wealthy and he owns Tatton Hall in our story. Okay. And on Saturday, the 19th of September, Lord Edgerton invited three of his close friends from the village to a banquet at his beautiful stately home, Tatton Hall. So the people who he invited, who would be the suspects, are Professor Plum, Miss Scarlet, and Colonel Mustard. Okay? And later on in the week, you're going to be writing some descriptions of our suspects. But here's an example, little fact file on one of the characters. So, Colonel Mustard, just an example, doesn't have to be in the same in your story, but in this story, he's age 52. He's a colonel in the army. He has a wife and two sons. His personality is loud, bossy, and arrogant. He likes hunting and collecting diamonds, and his relationship to Lord Edgerton is his brother in law. He has got a criminal record because he was arrested for blackmail, but no charges were pressed. Additional information: he's a cryptologist and he's lost a lot of money playing poker. So, in our example story, that's the fact file on one of our suspects, and the suspects are obviously the people who might have done it. Also in our story, which you don't have to have, but Lord Edgerton has his wife there, okay? But you do need to know that it was on the 19th of September at Tatton Hall. Here's a picture of Tatton Hall. Okay, so during this banquet, in your story, something extremely valuable and precious to Lord Edgerton was stolen from one of his rooms. You must now decide which room the item was stolen from and write a description of the crime scene that you, the inspector, found at precisely 22:30 on the night of the robbery. What was stolen? A large amount of money, a valuable painting, Lord Edgerton's will, some rare jewels, a letter which contained a secret. What else could have been stolen? It's now your chance to write down what else could have been stolen. Now you're going to decide. Now you know what's been stolen. You're now going to decide where it was stolen from. So we've got all these rooms here for you to choose from. But remember, you're writing a description of the crime scene today. So whichever room you choose will be the description that you're writing about. Kitchen, ballroom, conservatory, billiard room, library, study, hall, lounge, or dining room. Just like in Cluedo. Decide now. Your task today, not in pairs because we're not actually in school at the moment, is to choose a room that the robbery took place in. Write a description of the crime scene as found by you, the inspector. You must write in the first person. What can you see? Is there any evidence? What room are you describing? Describe the scene in minute detail so no stone is left unturned. Is there anything suspicious in the room? An opened window? Maybe for an exit. Documents scattered all over the floor, an empty safe, signs of a struggle. It's now your job to write a description of the crime scene. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example what a good one looks like right now to help you. So here we have what a good one looks like. So you're writing about the crime scene, describing the setting. You're going to find clues in your piece of writing and you're going to include a red herring. If you remember what a red herring is from yesterday, that's like a fake clue to maybe make you think it's somebody else. So start from entering the main door, describe the room, describe the events as they look for clues, and describe what both detectives are doing. So here's our example. Pushing open the huge oak doors, the butler showed me into the grand hall and escorted me into the lounge. Keeping a close eye on every minute detail was my assistant, Clive Walker. front of us was a huge rectangular room with an incredibly high ceiling. Curiously, we walked in, examining the walls very carefully. On one side were long red tapestries, and on the other side, a row of long windows that went down to the ground. In the centre of the room was a round mahogany table, laid out with luxurious silver plates and fine china saucers. Walker, who was in awe of his surroundings, didn't appear to notice anything, but he did comment on a red scarf that lay on the floor. Walking further into the room, I greeted Lord Egerton and carried on studying the room. Sobbing quietly in the corner sat Lady Egerton, who watched tearfully as we started strolling around the room looking for clues. Who could have done this? Who might have wanted to steal the rare and most treasured diamond? Whoever had been in here had left the room very messy. Perhaps they were in a hurry. Below the marble fireplace was some soot which had heavily dusted the carpet. We moved swiftly on. Eventually, we stopped at a long sideboard which had a wooden top, curled pillars, and huge lion feet. By the feet was a shiny medal. Walker picked it up and turned it over, his observant hands. Strange, he thought to himself. Placing the medal into his jacket pocket, he turned around to glance at me. I was busy taking photographs of potential evidence. We commentated as we walked round until suddenly we stopped. A footprint near the window. Bending down to survey it closer, we realised that this was quite a large footprint, from a boot perhaps, and it seemed to be heading out of the window. The window in the room was quite high and with a rather large drop onto the grass below. It would have taken someone very brave and tall to have managed this escape. Reaching into his pocket, Walker pulled out a shiny round magnifying glass and placed it in front of a brown mark on the floor. As I watched on, Walker moved the glass closer and muttered something about a size 12 boot print. Once the glass was back in his pocket, he turned to Lord Egerton and declared proudly, "We can stop searching now, Hogan. I know who committed the crime." So the job for you today is to write a description of the crime scene. A little bit like this one. It's probably going to be a bit shorter, but you're going to start from entering the room, describe the room, describe the events as they look for clues, the two detectives, and describe what both detectives are doing. Okay. Thanks, children.